Okay, so first let me know, can everybody see the lecture notes right now?
Yes, hocam.
Yes, hocam.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So this lecture is kind of like every lecture is important, but I think the lectures about human population and this one is particularly have a weight in our topics, and so concerning the well-being of nature and sustainability. So lecture 6, human role in loss of species. So we have established until now that if you read the scientific literature, that we are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction. What does it mean? That we are having extinction rates above the natural levels. So that means that as humans, we are causing anthropogenic uh, uh, biodiversity loss, meaning we are causing mass extinctions of other species. We are affecting them negatively. We are affecting nature negatively in a way that we are causing a mass extinction similar to what a meteor uh, caused. If you watched, you know, the Jurassic Park, that just the extinction of dinosaurs, which is not Jurassic era, it's a different era, but the name of the movie, let's say I'm talking about. So let's say that the meteor that caused the extinction of dinosaurs, we are acting in the same way to this meteor right now, and we are causing the extinction of many species similar to the historical events that we have observed in history, all these extinction events. So there were 5 mass extinctions, and this is the 6th one, and it's called anthropogenic era of the 6 all the mass extinctions, which is called the 6th mass extinction going on right now. That means we are increasing the extinction rates of species. So if we ask ourselves in which ways we are doing that, so let's read the slides. Human role in loss of species. So there is something called the background extinction rate, which is natural extinction rates without the human disturbance. So biodiversity researchers project that extinction rate is likely to increase 10,000 times of background extinction rates due to habitat loss, climate change, ocean acidification, which is related to the climate change, because CO2, carbon dioxide, causes climate change, and CO2, carbon dioxide, also causes the ocean acidification and other environmental harmful effects. So we know that we are causing this huge biodiversity loss during our lifetimes in many ways. Each of us, not just those who go to hunting or who just each of us contribute to this to different degrees. And currently, they were saying that the extinction rates are 100 to 1,000 times higher times of the background extinction rates, but this is likely to be 10,000 times towards the end of this century. So the extinction rates are, let's say you saw documentary, you saw zebras, you saw elephants and giraffes and all these lions and tigers, all these animals can be extinct at the end of this century. So they will be no more. So you will not be the polar bears, you will not see them anymore. Think about a world where you don't see those animals anymore, that they don't even exist anymore. How an impact that would have in our ecosystem. Think about that. So the basic the, uh, what is causing it? So the industrial civilization is the single cause of the ongoing 6 mass extinction, because the 6 mass extinction is directly proportional to the rate of the development of the industrial civilization. That is, whatever you call it, economic development, the technological development, or the industrial civilization, they are directly proportional. So let me just check if you have any questions. Thank you very much. Someone just shared the link. Okay. I don't know why you can't join, but yeah, Queen, you're a queen. Okay. So human role in loss of species. I'm not good with technology, so some of you can help me with my lectures, as you do always. So human role in loss of species. Such loss in species will result loss of vital ecosystem services, including air and water purification and pollination. Without pollination, plant growth will seriously endangered. So we know that there is already an ongoing insect decline, insect biodiversity decline due to agriculture, due to pesticides, due to insecticides, um, that due to climate change that is happening. There were studies from Germany, there were studies in Puerto Rico, I think, like in, yeah, in those regions, that they documented that their insect populations and insect diversity is going down due to whatever reason. And what might be this reason? I mean, if it is not climate change, some is saying it's climate change, some is saying it's pesticides. Whatever it is something that we are doing. That is important thing that we realize. So according to these studies conducted at 2005, 15 of 24 major ecosystem services are at decline. By saving as many species from extinction, especially keystone species, well, how do you know which one are the keystone species? I mean, you can guess, but in some cases, one species might be very important that you just miss their importance in the ecosystem and you mess up. So the safest way to preserve an ecosystem is to not disturb it, not to touch it. That's the best way to preserve an ecosystem. Why we should try to sustain wildlife? So the world's species provide vital ecosystem services which are important for our living and economies. So this is taken from a book, and my criticism would be the humanity should stop talking about economies all the time. It's not about money all the time. The money is such a made up and small and short-sighted, limited thing that we are just concerned. It's almost nothing compared to life. So this monetary system that we have, the economies, etc., it is nothing. The industries, the technology that we have, it is nothing compared to the life that we have, that is sustaining us. But we have been kind of brainwashed to ignore and see this technological civilization as the single biggest thing that is sustaining us. And this industrial civilization provided us very few things that have, in the short term, provide us improvement in our health and not health, provide us less childhood mortality and maybe longevity in our lives, let's say 10 more years, but not without disease, with disease, so added disease. And so it's not a huge improvement. So that's why I'm saying we shouldn't consider this as a pinnacle of well-being. And actually, I argue that it's actually opposite of well-being. This technological industrial development, our economies are actually the opposite of our well-being. So why I say that? Because our industries, our agricultural industries, are destroying nature, bees, and etc. This whole thing is actually destroying what we really depend on, which is Mother Nature. And we need to. It is time to stop just thinking about the economy, which is a false promise anyway. In many cases, they will try to fool you in the books, as this book that we were just covering. They will just try to fool you and try to deceive you in many ways, that they will not target the real issue, but they just go around it to make you feel it's okay to keep what we are doing. So the second one, okay, let's see if you have any other questions. How many students there are? 56. Okay. So so the second point is preventing extinction of species also helps us to preserve economic services. Again, it's mentioning, this book is mentioning about the economic services, the preserving of the economic services. But this is my criticism, okay, in the yellow ones. Economic services is what is destroying life as we know it in the first place. So if you want to preserve economic services, you preserve the destruction of life. So there is no in between. I have other statistical reasons for that, but it is not in the coverage of this lecture. It is too complicated. It's not too complicated, but it's not in the coverage of this lecture. Let's say if you are interested, you can come to my office and I will explain to you in person, personally. But please realize that this is the case. If you have any argument against that, you can come to my office and we discuss, and I explain to you why that is the case. Okay, so economic service is what is destroying life as we know it in the first place. So if you want economic services, you will destroy life, and if you want life or nature, as we call it, to support your economic services, you are demanding something unattainable. It is not realistic, because economic services is the opposite of nature, right? They are opposing each other. So let's say you want to develop all these things, cancer drugs, etc., which is, cancer is caused by the industrial civilization anyway. In most cases, unhealthy, not unnatural ways of living. And let's say this industrial civilization is creating its own problems and trying to solve it by further destroying the nature. So that's what is going on, basically. So let's skip further. Let's read it. So, why we should try to sustain wildlife. Why do you think we should try to sustain Mother Nature? We call wildlife, but it's actually what should be said is Mother Nature, not ecotourism or such superficial stuff. It's Mother Nature. It is who we are. That's why we need to, protect it. How do humans accelerate extinction? Habitat destruction. Yes, we destroy habitats by the industrial civilization. Degradation and fragmentation. We destroy the nature by degradation and fragment it by industrial civilization. Again, invasive species, which is also a problem created by the industrial civilization, by sheep, the trade of animals, etc., or by trades, basically. Population growth and global trade, what I'm talking about. Population growth and increase in use of resources. Again, just an effect of industrial civilization. Pollution is caused by industrial civilization. Before industrial civilization, there was no such thing as pollution or waste. Think about that. Before industrial civilization, there was no such thing as pollution or waste. Climate change. Yeah, we are rapid climate change. The climate was changing, but it was changing in a way that in most cases it was the organisms were able to adapt because the climate was changing slowly. But right now we are just having too rapid change due to industrial civilization of burning fossil fuels. Overexploitation. Why are we overexploiting? Because what the industrial civilization is demanding this overexploitation, because we are demanding a growth paradigm. Let's grow our economies, let's grow our technology, more money, more economy, more resources, more we see the earth as something to be exploited with these mindsets. So it is natural that we are having an overexploitation of nature. So this is actually a problem of our culture that values materials, technology, novelty more than nature and natural processes or humans or other things. If you value money, if you value technology, if you value science and novelty, and if you value like putting in the prime position, if you value monetary values, economy, and as I said, technology, which is another way of saying economy. All these things, if you value them, you put first exploitation, and that is causing the overexploitation of nature, because you are just putting nature in a second position. So let's see if you have a question or anything. Still 58 people listening. Okay, so how do humans accelerate? We have 50 minutes. How do humans accelerate extinction? So habitat fragmentation by the roads, it's like industrial civilization is fragmenting the nature, basically. If you go to Google Maps, look at it, just look at the regions of the land. It's full of agricultural land, full of roads, divided. Everything is fragmented. Logging operations, for many other reasons, but basically agriculture and livestock industry are the main reasons. Crop fields, we have covered these crop fields, the percentage of crop fields, what is contributing to that the most. And the urban development. The urban development covers very little in terms of the area, but the roads are dividing. So the roads are causing the fragmentation of habitats. Non-native species. So according to the studies, 98% of US food supply is coming from non-native species, plants and animals. So it's an ongoing disturbance. So I always say that the biggest mistake that humanity has made is invention of agriculture, and from about 12,000 years ago. And from that it spread to globally, and now we are having this huge disturbance which is causing, like in the US, let's say 98% of the US food supply is not natural. It's like a non-native invasive species spreading around, and we can call these species invasive, but they are spreading by us. They are being spread by us. So we can call humans have become an invasive species. And that is a very sure thing to say. I mean, I don't know anyone who can argue with that. The problem arises when non-native species do not face with their natural predators. Yeah, I mean, we have all the technology. Who can stand with us? But this is the problem, that we are not separate from others. We can see humanity as winning when we oppress the rest of the nature, but we are actually one, and that will have very negative effects, including the disappearance or extinction of human species in the following centuries, due to our arrogance of thinking that we are the only thing that we should care about. How do humans accelerate extinction? So non-native species. So we can, I mean, if you talk about non-native species, humans are non-native to many of the continents. Like we are very newly introduced, especially let's say South America. We are there not more than 20,000 years, I guess. In North America, we are not there, not more than, again, a few thousand years, let's say 40,000 years. I can open the map of when we move to those continents, but we are very new. Not more than 100,000 years in all those continents. So we are quite non-native, most of the continents. And we are just changing everything so rapidly with our technology that we are causing so much disturbance, and that's the problem. That's the main problem, that we are causing these very novel, rapid disturbances to natural balance. Population growth and resource and climate change. So these are all connected again. Due to this disturbance, we are disturbing our cultures. Natural ways of controlling our populations are not in place anymore, because we are just basically went off the balance. We are not in the balance anymore. Our cultures have been disrupted by colonization, by technology, by all kinds of novel means of living, that we don't live in a tribal setting anymore that controlled our populations and ensured that we were getting along with each other. So climate change, again, like fossil fuels, is just another symptom of industrial civilization. And don't think that renewable energy, such as winds, solar, etc., will be a solution to our energy crisis. They will not be a solution in the long term, at least. So you can just, again, watch the recommended documentary, what was the Planet of the Humans 2019, and you will realize why it is not a solution, because the renewable energy has so many problems, basically the storage problems. So it is because it is difficult to find alternatives to nature. So basically you're disturbing a system, you are trying to find alternatives. You have your ego which is telling you you're smart enough that you can find, but actually you're not that smart as nature, because nature took billions, millions and billions of years to develop those systems, and you are just saying in a couple of decades or hundreds of years I will find solutions to this problem. You are not going to find that. It's very unlikely. That's why renewable energy is not either a solution. So what this makes the industrial civilization, it makes it a destructive force. So what about illegal killing, capturing, and selling of wild species? So this book mentions about very limited subjects, because when it comes to the important subjects, this book doesn't have the courage, doesn't have the balls, basically, to mention about what is going on. Because otherwise, because this book was written by the corporate agenda, okay? The corporations wrote this book that we are teaching. So the corporations don't want to disturb the balance of economy. So, but I will as much as I can. So economic pressures from industrialization is forcing oppressed people into illegal jobs, including illegal hunting. So here, blaming the hunters of elephants or giraffes or the wildlife, it does nothing, because these people are poor. Why? So we need to question the root cause of this illegal hunting. And the root cause is basically this disturbance of their cultures, the colonization. When is in this is as I mentioned in the last lecture, in China, they were saying, as I said, there is an economic pressure forcing these people to move to cities, and the same economic pressure, which is colonization, is oppression of these, of destruction of these natural ways of living, of natural cultures, is forcing these poor people actually to illegally hunt and kill other poor animals. So victims are victimizing other natural animal, victimizing the nature, but they're also victims themselves. Um, so there were 100,000 tigers in Asia, now about 2,200. And I am seeing in social media many people are just photographing the tigers, and they just think that this is something very brave to do, but this is very pathetic and very cruel thing to do. If you go to Asia with tourism, if you pay as a tour, if your tour guide says, okay, let's have some photos with tigers, like baby tigers or big tigers, don't do it. It's again, for economic reasons, industrial civilization oppressing another natural being, as it oppressed humanity. Domesticated humanity is just trying to exploit nature as it is exploiting us humans. They're just trying to exploit tigers in a way that it is not their natural way of being, and they're suffering. And it is not to save them. Some say these places like zoos save these natural, organisms, biodiversity species, but it's not the case, because if you don't save the ecosystem, you can't save this species. And exactly this economy, this industrial mindset is what is destroying the nature, the ecosystems. So demand for bushmeat is not a problem. Some tribes had to hunt, unfortunately, but when they didn't have plant foods to eat. But the problem is the increased population due to the industrial civilization. Again, everything comes to this technological industrial civilization, including HIV, AIDS, Ebola. These are all novel diseases caused by the industrial civilization. Again, the dense livestock industry or other types of interactions that is forcing this dense amount of population of humans interacting with nature. So these diseases didn't exist. Even bird flu didn't exist until we domesticated horses. If you look at it, if you are interested in those issues, again, you come to my office and I will share with you some videos and resources that our current diseases are that the industrial civilization is claiming to find some sort of solution is actually originates from the industrial civilization itself or technological civilization itself, starting from domestication, which is based on agriculture. It started with agriculture. So do we have any questions? Okay, no. Okay, so whatever treaties don't do anything. I mean, these international treaties and natural laws just is to protect the companies, corporations. They do nothing. Zoos, aquariums. Do you want to be stuck in a zoo, in a prison? No, it's not a solution. Tough questions. Should we focus on saving species or ecosystems? Well, we should focus on preserving what is natural, which is ecosystem, not just species, because species can't live without their ecosystems. They can't live in zoos anymore. It's not living, it's just prison. How to allocate limited resources, etc. Okay, so what can you do? So the book as a corporate agenda gives you very limited choices, but I will give you more broad choices. So one choice that you should go vegan. You can go vegan, but you should just search what is veganism about. You can go vegan, as I am 3 years vegan, and I'm very disappointed in myself that I haven't went vegan before. Realize that the industrial civilization is basically a pyramid scheme and destroying nature as we know it. That's another realization. Another realization would be realize that we are all one being. So separating things into competition, we are competing with each other and etc. I will win. That there is no such thing. It's ego speaking, and there is no such thing as individuals trying to improve themselves. Actually, we improve the whole or we don't. So realize that we are all one being trying to coexist all together as nature, which we call nature. So sustaining biodiversity ecosystems, sustaining forests, as we see, we can say that humans are okay. So our time is 7, but I will continue very briefly. So the forests we are trying to manage, but the disadvantage of this procedure is having only few types of trees. Biodiversity is limited in these areas, and replantation is cycles may deplete nutrients in topsoil. So basically, managing forests is not sustainable in any way, and you can't sustain or harvest forest in any way. Again, this is another form of saying industrial civilization trying to consume the forest in use as resources is not natural. So have you watched Planet of the Humans 2019? You should watch if you haven't until now. I told you in our first lecture, I recommended to watch it. So sustaining forests, you can just cutting and cutting and cutting forests, but why? I mean, is it natural to cut forests? Did we cut with our hands before we invented our tools? Why why we are cutting forests. If it is natural, we shouldn't be cutting because we didn't have the tools to cut it before. Just use your brain a little bit, right? So realization, any forest that needs human-induced fires or removal of trees is not a natural forest, right? So if anyone tells you that I am managing this forest for its own good, no, you are just managing this forest for your economic, short-term, selfish gain. Sustaining forest fires, as I said, I mean, if forest needed humans to start fires, okay, so natural fires, wildfires exist. The lightning starts those wildfires, not humans. Okay, so if any human is claiming that I will start this fire because it is natural, well, you are not natural. You need to just question that. Okay, if such a forest needs wildfires started by humans, then you need to question the naturality of those forests. That then you can say these forests are not natural if it necessitates human-induced fires, because humans basically existed, let's say, in, as I said, especially in North America. I mean, if you research when humans came to North America, it's very recent. So any natural forest there before that wouldn't depend on human-induced fires. Just use your brain. As I said, don't just read the books and believe everything in them. So sustaining biodiversity ecosystems, sustaining forests, let forests be. Just don't touch; they will sustain themselves. You don't need to manage fires. You don't need to manage nature, because by definition, nature exists them itself without herself, without touching. Sustained biodiversity ecosystem, sustained grasslands. So about grasslands, some of the livestock industry funded research and agenda. Some of the pressures include to lecturers, to universities, include by the books, include grazing of grasslands for the health of the grassland. But that's not true, because, as I said, livestock industry started not more than 6,000 years ago. Before that, there were natural wildlife there. So humans should stop playing the God complex. We have the God complex that we say, I need to manage that. If you leave, you are the problem. Humans are the problem. If you leave nature alone, she will sort herself out and like bloom like a flower. You can't force a flower to bloom. Okay, so better stop grazing livestock and let the natural life take over the grasslands as nature intended. Okay, so that's the best thing you can do if you are concerned about nature. And we know that livestock industry is one of the most destructive industries currently existing on planet Earth. Ecosystems approach. Okay, so you can read all these by yourself and just 5 minutes extra. But about sustaining aquatic biodiversity, just watch Seaspiracy 2021. That's another documentary. I am sure you will enjoy it. And if you are concerned about these issues, if you just took this lecture just to have some credits, egoistically having some credits for nothing, you can still watch it and change your perspective. But I mean, you really need to worry about these issues, because eventually all these issues affect you. So these issues are not just about nature, because nature is actually in you. What nature provides is improving yourself. You depend on the nature. You are the nature, basically. You can't separate yourself from the nature. So just watch Seaspiracy. I mean, this is just saying protected marine sanctuaries. It's just let's increase them, whatever. No. just watch Seaspiracy, stop consuming the marine animals, basically. Again, be vegan, stop eating marine animals, that is just consuming another disturbance into the oceans. So stop that novel thing. And yeah, I mean, it's basically exposing, like this lecture should be about exposing what the industrial civilization has brought on nature, that is causing this mass extinction and destroying our mother nature, ourselves as all. So okay, thank you very much for listening. Let's see if you have other questions. No other question. Okay. So if you don't have another question, I will finish this lecture already almost 10 minutes extra. So I wish you good luck with your exam. And as I said, please study the terminologies, like know the meaning of the words as well. When you study, you have your concepts in your mind, yes, but know the meaning of the words as well, because you will need that in the exam. Okay, and I hope that your internet and electricity will work at the time of the exam. So thank you very much, and see you next week.